So now we start the text and explanation. So I have the book, a collection of essays and short stories, BA Part 1 Language, compiled and edited by Dr. Poonam Rani Gupta, Associate Professor, Department of English, Bakunthi Devi Kanya, PG College, Agra. So I'll read the text and explain it. The first para, a very important world problem. In fact, I am inclined to say it is the most important of all the great world problems which face us the present times is the rapidly increasing pressure of population on land and on land resources. Meaning is, here in this first paragraph, the author is much worried about the worldly problems of today, like the biggest increasing population and land resources. The use of land and its resources wisely is great challenges which the whole world is facing. On the greatest problems, or we can say one of the greatest problems which we are faced with is the increasing pressure of population on land and land resources. Second para. It is not so much the actual population of the world but its rate of increase which is important. It works out to be out 1.6% annum net increase. In terms of numbers, this means something like 40 to 55 million additional people every year. Canada has a population of 20 million, rather less than 6 months climb in the world population. Take Australia, there are 10 million people in Australia, so it takes the world less than 3 months to add to itself a population which people that vast country. Let us take our own crowded country, England and Wales, 45 to 50 million people just about a year. By this time tomorrow and every day there will be added to the earth about 120,000 extra people just about the population of the city of York. The meaning is, the most worrying thing is not the actual population but its rate of increase. The world population is increasing so rapidly that the actual increase after calculating the number of births and death is about 1.6% per annum. This is the main cause. This is the main problem. 40 to 55 million children are added every year in England and Wales. Here the author describes about the world population. He talks about the Canada, Australia, England and Wales as very vast countries. To the whole world about 1,20,000 babies are added every day. These babies are born so quickly that we cannot speak quickly enough to keep pace with the birth rate. In other words, we can say 3 babies are born in every second somewhere in the whole world. So the main cause of this uncontrolled growth is the increase in life status and advanced medical facilities. Fourth para. I am not talking about birth rate. This is net increase. To give you some idea of birth rate, look at the second hand of your watch. Every second 3 babies are born somewhere in the world. Another baby, another baby, another baby. You cannot speak quickly enough to keep pace with the birth rate. Fifth para, this enormous increase of population will create immense problem by AD 2000. Unless something desperate happens, there will be as many as 7 billion people on the surface of this earth. So this is a problem which you are to see in your lifetime. Meaning, here the author points out that the enormous increase in population will create the immense problems in all over world. The ratio of every second childbirth is 3 in this world. As we have to keep quiet about the speaking such happening as the biggest problems of this land, so definitely it is really one day will come, the day will come very soon due to the lack of knowledge. The enormous increase in population will create immense problems, very vast problem. Para number 6, which is this enormous increase in population taking place, it is really due to spread of knowledge and the practice of what is coming to be called death control. You have heard of birth control. Death control is something rather difficult. Death control recognizes the work of doctors and the nurses and the hospitals and the death services in keeping alive people who a few years ago would have died of some of incredibly serious killing diseases, as they used to be a squalid condition which we can remedy by an improved standard of living, caused a lot of disease and dirt. Medical examination at school catch diseases early and ensure healthier school children. Scientists are at work stamping out malaria and other more deadly diseases. If you are seriously ill, there is an ambulance to take you to a modern hospital. Medical care helps to keep people alive longer. We used to think 70 was a good age. Now 80, 90 it maybe are coming to be recognized as a normal age for human being. People are living longer because of this death control and fewer children are dying, so the population of the world is shooting up. The meaning, it is really very vast, very immense problem due to the spread of knowledge and practice of death control. Otherwise, in other words, we can say it is really due to the spread of knowledge and the practice of the death control. Death control recognizes the work of the doctors and nurses and hospitals. A proper medical care helps to keep people alive longer. The medical examinations of children at schools catch their diseases early. If a person is ill, there is an ambulance to take him to a modern hospital. Now 80 or 90 year age is very common. That is recognized as a normal age for the human being, since fewer children are dying, not as before, and people are living longer than earlier. The population of the world is shooting up. The para number 7. Imagine the position if you and I and everyone else living on earth share the surface between us. How much should we have each? It would be just over 12 acres, the sort of size of a small holding, but not all that is useful land which is going to produce food. We cannot out 1/5 of it, for example, as being too cold. That is land which is covered with ice and snow. Antarctica and Greenland and the great frozen areas of northern Canada. Then we can cut out another fifth as being too dry. The great deserts of the world like the Sahara and the heat heart of Australia and the other areas where there is no known water supply to feed crops and so to produce food, then we can cut out another fifth as being too mountainous or with too great an elevation above sea level. Then we can cut out another tenth as land which has insufficient soil, probably just rock at the surface. Now out of 12 acres, only about 4 are left as suitable for producing food. But now all that is used. It includes land with enough rainfall or water and enough heat, which at present we are not using, such as for example the great Amazon forest and the Congo forest and the grassland of America. How much are we actually using? Only a little cover, 1 acre is what is required to support one human being or an average at the present time. First of all, I would like to discuss the two words Amazon forest and Congo forest. What the writer uses in this particular para. Amazon forest, the Amazon rainforest covering much of northwestern Brazil and extending into the Colombia, Peru and other South America countries, is the worldwide largest tropical rainforest, famed for its biodiversity. It is crisscrossed by the thousands of rivers. Second, Congo forest. The Congo basin makes up one of the most important wilderness area left on earth. At 500 million acres, it is larger than the state of Alaska and stands as the world's second largest tropical forest. Grassland of Africa is well known. Everybody knows it is in the United States Midwest. They are often called prairies. In South America they are known pampas. Central European grassland are suffered to as steppes, while African grasslands are savannas. So meaning is, here the author thinks about the second largest problem, which is the shortage of land for the living and food productivity. If the earth on which we live is divided among us, each person would come to have just over 12 acres. 1/5 of it can be cut out as being too cold because this land is covered with snow and ice. For example, Greenland, Antarctica and frozen areas of northern Canada. Another 1/5 can be cut out as being too dry for lack of water supply to feed crops and produce food. Another 1/5 can be cut out as being too elevated height, too much above the sea level. Then another 1/10 can be cut out as being rocky at surface. So how much left? Now out of 12 acres, only 4 acres of land are left suitable for food production. Still, but the whole 4 acres is not usable. Out of this, some land which has too much rainfall or is too much hot cannot be used for food production. So only a little over 1 acre is left for the support of one human being in the all over world. Next para. Now we come to the next point, and that is the haves and have-nots. this is a phrase, idiom phrase. The countries of the world, the standard share per person for the world is a little over 12 acres per head. Potentially usable about 4 acres and actually used about 1.1 acre. We are very often told in Britain to take the United States as an example of what is done or what might be done. Every little American is born into this world, which is heritage of the home country, the continental United States, of just about the world average about 12 acres. We can estimate that probably some 6 acres of the total of the 12 of the American homeland is cultivable in the sense I have just given you, but the amount actually used, what the Americans call improved land in crops and pasture in farms, is 3.5 acres. So the American have over 3 times the world average of land on which to produce food for themselves. On that land they produce more food than they actually require, so they have a surplus for export. Meaning, in this paragraph the author points out next major issue of land per head, using the very famous idiom haves and have nots. This phrase is quite common, very popular and widely used in American society. Before we delve into the origin of this idiom, we must first go over its meaning. It refers to 2 kinds of people: the wealthy and the poor. In society, the income gap that separates these of 2 groups of people, that has a binary, the rich and the poor, can be defined using this expression. Those who have money and wealth were coined as the word haves, 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 and anyone who was living in poverty or did not have much money are known as have-nots, N-O-T-S. So this is the very common idiom and phrase. So I have discussed, so meaning is, now the United States of America, out of 12 acres of per head, some 6 acre of land is suitable for cultivation, but the amount of land actually used is 3.5 acre. So the Americans have over 3 times the world average of land to produce food for themselves. On that land, the Americans produce more food than they require. Next para number 9. Now suppose we take the United States, great neighbor to the north, Canada. Every Canadian has 140 acres to roam around in. A lot of it is away in the frozen north, but there is still an enormous area of land in Canada waiting to be settled and developed. The official figure is 22 acres. The Canadians use at the moment for 4 acres, and they too have a large food surplus available for export. Para number 10. Now turn to our own country, including land of all sorts. There is just over 1 acre per head is the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. That is why we have to be so very careful with it. How much do we actually use? Just over half an acre to produce food, that is as farmland. The story is much the same if you separate off Northern Ireland and Scotland and just take England and Wales. In this very crowded country, we have only 0.8 acres per head of land of all sorts to do everything with which we need. That is why we have to think so very carefully of this problem. The meaning is, in Canada, every Canadian has 140 acres in his credit. Try to think about it. Every Canadian has 140 in his credit, in his favor. Out of this, Canadians use only 4 acres. They also produce more than they require, and they have also a surplus for export, the grain. In Great Britain, if we just talk about Northern Ireland, there is just over 1 acre of land per head. Out of this, only 0.8 acres of land per head is available for doing everything. So this is the meaning of this. Para number 11, India with 2.5 acres per head has considerably more land than we have in this country. Now all of it is usable for food production, but there is land which could be reclaimed by modern methods that is being tackled at the present time. The crucial figure is the actual area in agriculture, use 3/4 an acre. The yields from this land are low, methods of production are primitive, and that is why the Indians are so very near the starvation level for almost every year of their lives, but they are not as badly off where the land is concerned as Japan. 12 number, the Japanese figures are the same as our own country is overall land 1.1 acre per person, but it is a very mountainous country with volcanoes, and so much less is cultivable, less than a fifth of an acre. 0.17 of an acre is under cultivation. You see at once the tremendous land problem which there is in Japan. 13 number, there is a great variation of course in the intensity with which the land is used. In the United States, they are extravagant in the use of land and take perhaps 20 times as much to feed one person as in Japan. You may talk about the Japanese agriculture being 20 times as efficient as the American, but that raise a lot of questions. 14 number, the intensive cultivation characteristics of Japan use every little bit of land, and only the barren hillsides are not required. Much of agriculture is based on rice. The farm workers plants by hand every individual rice plant, and this kind of intensive cultivation enables the Japanese to support 7 persons per acres. The meaning of all, in India 2.5 acres of land per head is available. If we know correctly, this is only available for food production, but not all the land is usable. That which is not usable can be reclaimed by modern methods. In Japan, 1 acre of land per head is available, but this land is very mountainous and full of volcanoes. Only 0.17 of 1 acre of land is cultivable. In spite of all this, the Japanese agriculture is 20 times as efficient as the American. This is the pointable thing. We will have to think about it. Where we are. A Japanese uses every little bit of land by way of intensive cultivation. This is the main thing. And this is very pointable thing. Just we have to think about it, what we are doing, where we are going, and what will be the future of all of us if we have not the sufficient land for food production. Para number 15. By contrast, think of the range land in North and South America with animals ranging over immense tracts of land. A diet of beef and milk is extravagant of land. In other words, it takes a lot of land for the number of calories produced. In the sense, it is less efficient Then the Japanese rice growing agriculture, but not everyone liked eating rice. Para 16, where the sea is concerned, we are scarcely at the present time out of the old stone age. In the stone age, the people simply went out, killed wild animals if they were lucky and had a good meal. If they were unlucky, they just went hungry. At the present day, we do almost the same thing in the sea, hunting wild fish from boats. In the future, perhaps we shall cultivate at the sea. We shall grow small fish and fish spawn in tanks, take them to the part of the ocean where we want them, let them grow to the right size and harvest them. This is not fantasy, because at the present time fish are being cultivated like that in ponds and tanks in India and various parts of the far past, so that the people there have a supply of protein. There is a great development possible. 17 number, a lot of things are going to happen in the next 50 years. It is enormously important to increase the yields of grain plants, and great deal has happened through the work of genetics in the last few years. For instance, there has been an enormous world increase in the production of what American sell corn maize to us due to the development of new strains throughout agriculture. Genetics are improving plants to get higher yields. The meaning here in the last 3 paragraph, the author discusses about the sea cultivation for the seafood. He thinks of the ranch lands in North and South America, with the animals ranging over immense tracts of land. A diet of beef and milk is extravagant of land. In other words, we can say it takes a lot of land for the number of calories produced. In other words, in order to meet the food requirement of increasing population, the sea has to be cultivated. It will be the need of future. People would hunt wild fish from boats and also grow fish in the ocean, and as they grow them in their tanks, people will get supply of protein from the seafood. This will be the coming time. In order to get higher yields, people have to improve the yields of grain plants with the help of genetics. The Americans have increased the production of maize due to the development of new strains with the help of genetics. Thank you.